Hello, and welcome back to my analysis of the Marathon ARG. Today I'm going to be covering what we learned about Traxus. Before we get into it, I would like to once again thank the individuals behind the resources I have utilized to create this video. Primarily for this video, I utilized the Marathon story page, which is maintained by Hamish Sinclair in Carnamir's Marathon Lore Archive. All of this information is no longer available in its original format, so without their hard work in documenting this stuff, I would not be able to do these videos. Thanks again, and if you are interested in reading through the information on your own, please go to the description of this video for a complete list of my sources. I would also like to say at this time that this video should include the last of the ARG information available, meaning that at the end of this video I will have covered the entirety of what I believe accounts for all the lore we currently have available regarding the new Marathon game. I'll be posting one more video in this series that summarizes what we learned in a shorter format, and my final thoughts on the story so far. I'm very excited to complete this series and feel that in totality, the videos will serve as a pretty thorough accumulation of the lore for this new game that will hopefully provide a solid base of information for people to come back to as hype builds for this game. I'm so thankful for everyone who has watched, commented, and subscribed during this series, and I hope to continue providing content relevant to the Marathon community for the foreseeable future. So, just to clarify, within the next week or two, I'll be releasing my final thoughts on the ARG, and a complete version of the Traxus chat logs featured in this video. After that, I'm going to put together a video which combines all sections of this series as an omnibus for the people who would prefer a cohesive, extremely long version of the series. After that will be a special project I have been working on for a while that is a more creative endeavor into the Marathon universe. I'll talk more about this at a later date. If you have any suggestions or would prefer to see a specific type of content on the channel, please leave a comment down below and I will attempt to incorporate it into what I am doing after the completion of my upcoming projects. And a final reminder that I will not be covering any of the process through which the ARG was decoded and uncovered, but that info is available within the resources I provided. So, let's talk about Traxus. To start with, unlike Sakaguchi, we do hear the name Traxus in the original trilogy. Traxus 4 is referenced in 2 paragraphs of the second terminal of the level Defend This from Marathon 1. This terminal is comprised of various sections that are sourced as having come from James B. Miller's Life and Death of Intelligence, published in 2320. The paragraph reads, "It is a side effect of rampancy that AIs generally become more aggressive and more difficult to affect by subterfuge. Thus, actually disassembling a rampant AI is quite dangerous. This was evident in the crash of Traxus 4 in 2206. By the time that the rampancy of Traxus was detected, he had already infiltrated 5 of the other AIs on the Martian net. The only recourse for the Martians was to shut down the Martian planetary net. Even then, it took 2 full years to completely root out the damage that Traxus had done. And the repercussions of the crash were seen for over 10 years after his rampancy had begun. In general, rampancy is accelerated by outside stimuli. This was discovered early in cybertonics. The more a rampant AI is harassed or threatened, the more rapidly it becomes dangerous. Thus, most rampant AIs are dealt with in one mighty attack, in order to deny the AI time to grow or recover. There have been a few examples of this tactic not succeeding. In all of these cases, the rampant was never brought under control. Traxus 4 is the most notable example. He was finally dealt with by a complete shutdown of his host net. The information we have about Traxus comes from their website, traxus.global. This site, as we will shortly discuss, includes a history section that is similar in setup to Sakaguchi's. This timeline provides dates that indicate that Traxus was a company operating on Mars since at least 2145, 61 years prior to the shutoff of Traxus 4. This indicates, along with other details found within the information available, that this company version of Traxus in the new game is seemingly tied to this rampant AI. I should also add here that Traxus Heavy Industries is a company which features heavily in the Halo series as a, quote, interplanetary human industrial company. Like with many things, Bungie reuses names and concepts to build upon their ideas throughout separate canons. I don't have any reason to believe that these two companies are tied together in any canonical way, but I will keep in mind the existence of this separate entity in case any information regarding Marathon's Traxus can be gleaned from the details that exist around Traxus Heavy Industries. The opening page for Traxus' website featured a small Traxus logo centered on a gray background. At the top left corner of the page, you can read what appears to be Traxus' mission statement. We build worlds. At Traxus Global, we build the infrastructure that connects humanity, from our humble beginnings on Earth's native soil to our adopted homes on Luna, Mars, in between, and beyond. Traxus Global strives to create and uplift communities while innovating in the fields of infrastructure development and resource management, building today towards tomorrow. This statement positions Traxus as a much more broadly goal-oriented organization when put in comparison to the other entities we have covered thus far. Sakaguchi seeks to develop and implement technology that enhances the capabilities of man. The UESC aims to provide the order and civility accompanied with complex government throughout the expanding reach of humanity. MITA seeks to ensure people's innate freedoms are not infringed upon by the corporations and governments of the Marathon universe. Traxus' statement is different. What does building worlds really mean? A world describes everything, all that is known to be in combination given one's perspective, i.e. the world of Marathon. So this statement, when put forth by a spacefaring megacorp, feels overwhelmingly controlling. This makes their corporatized mission statement feel like a vague attempt by them to obscure some goal of playing God with reality. This is then softened by the inclusion of building, quote, infrastructure, but infrastructure itself is a vague word that could apply both to the physical implements that make up the homes and roads that one would live within, and also the conceptual implements of governmental structure or ideology. When truly broken down to its purest distillation, this mission statement reads to me as, here at Traxus we want to control everything. This intention colors the other information we receive as more nefarious than it may appear at first glance, given the professional tone that they prescribe upon their own writings. Surrounding the centered logo were terms and phrases that appear to be the names of machines and technology that Traxus develops, such as Drillinator 3000, Nexus Bound, Geoshaper, Quasaric Spectro Extractor, and the Omniscalar Tesla Lathe. This wheel also included words like news and careers and seems to be the menu for accessing the other pages the site has to offer. Ultimately, only 3 of these pages were accessible: research and innovations, history, and commitment to humanity. Let's start with the history page. This page features 5 separate years which appear to delineate the eras the company has been through, but starts with a self-aggrandizing synopsis of the Traxus Odyssey. Quote, in the twilight of a fading era, as the embers of humanity's ambition flickered and waned, a beacon of hope emerged, casting its luminous gaze upon the celestial tapestry. Traxus, born from the depths of mankind's most audacious dreams, set forth on an odyssey of cosmic proportions, weaving a legacy that would alter the very fabric of reality. Do you guys know about Durandal? Durandal is arguably the main character from the original trilogy, with the security officer being the mechanism through which Durandal's story is witnessed. Durandal is one of 3 AI aboard the colony ship Marathon that travels to Tau Ceti to establish the colony which would ultimately be destroyed by the 4. Durandal goes rampant and makes it his goal to escape the closure of the universe, to become a god. I can't help but identify similarity between how Traxus portrays itself and its lofty goals with the grandiose sentiments prescribed by Durandal in his rampant state. Maybe that lawn rampant AI Traxus 4 still has some presence within the company, but we will discuss that more later. The first period that the history page outlines is given the year 2095 and is labeled the Genesis, or Founding. It reads, our story begins in 2095 with the birth of true artificial intelligence, as a congregation of visionary engineers and philosopher-scientists gathered to breathe life into a dream. Inspired by the boundless potential of the universe, They sought to create an entity that could pierce the veil of the cosmos and unlock the enigmatic secrets that lay hidden in the celestial abyss. Thus, in a flurry of passion and determination, Traxus Intelligent Machines was born. This clearly defines that Traxus was founded with the intention of developing AI technology. Their initial goal seems to position the answer to expansion throughout the universe as artificial intelligence. But do we really want those developing dangerous AI tech to be operating in a flurry of passion? This feels like a historical reference point for many of the sentiments of end-stage rampancy, given that the first appearance of rampancy is dated as 2070. It's not absurd to think that the founding of Traxus may be a direct consequence of that discovery. This also provides the context that Traxus has been doing this for 800 years at the time of the ARG, possibly the longest standing organization we have that is still largely in its original form. The next period is given the year 2145 and labeled, quote, the harvest, early years. It reads, in the fledgling years of our existence, the seeds of our legacy took root in the fertile soil of human curiosity. As we expanded into extraterrestrial mining, our nascent creations began to take form, supplying much-needed resources from Mars and beyond. The world bore witness to the birth of a new era, as Traxus Interplanetary Corporation relocated to Mars in 2145, and began its ascent into the annals of history. This is only 7 years prior to the founding of Sekaguchi, meaning that Traxus was already ingrained in the tech world at this point, surely shaking hands or competing with Sekaguchi in one way or another. This also displays at this point Traxus had transitioned to mining and resource missions. This appears to be a natural development, as the tech that they are working on would require an immense amount of resources to fund and deploy. But was this departure from AI exclusive developments an attempt to gain more funds to further their true pursuits? Or was this a way to hide their need for advanced resources for these projects behind separate business ventures? It seems that Traxus progressively seems to hide their involvement in AI technology as they progress. Their first history section doesn't even refer to them directly as an AI company, rather that they develop intelligent machines. We know that in the Marathon universe, the term AI is commonly known, and that the tech pervades private and public life, i.e., use aboard colony ships and public companies researching and monetizing this tech. It feels like Traxus is trying to obfuscate its connection to the Traxus 4 incident by portraying the history of their company as more focused on the operations outside of the, quote, passion for creating an AI god that could pierce the veil of the cosmos. The next year they outline is 2300. They refer to this period as the, quote, forge. Our journey has not been without adversity. As we face the inescapable trials and tribulations of progress, in the crucible of challenge, our resolve was tested, and our innovations refined, as we wrestled with the existential questions that haunted the shadows of our ambition. But with each passing storm, our commitment to our mission grew ever stronger. Each victory and failure, every lesson we have learned from Earth and Mars, propelling us toward the vast expanse of the unknown. The adversity here seemingly refers to the 2206 crash of the Martian planetary net, as a result of Traxus 4's rampancy. This is more corporate speak for, we have gotten people hurt and caused severe lasting issues for an entire planet, but we aren't stopping here. The page goes on to describe the 2400s as the Ascension. Traxus Offworld Industries stands as a titan among the stars. The resurrection of the Christ as the Traxus Offworld Solar Orbiters is a testament to the indomitable spirit of human ingenuity. We have become the architects of a new reality, our branches and subsidiaries stretching across the solar system like tendrils of stardust. Our technologies have transcended the mundane confines of the Earth, and our influence resonates throughout the infinite cosmos. So, the 2400s are a very busy time in the Marathon universe, primarily because this is the period when the Marathon colony ship is developed and deployed. But let's talk first about the Christs. The Christs are spacefaring vessels that provided resources to Mars, but ultimately failed. They are described in the lengthy second terminal on the level couch fishing in Marathon 1. Quote, The Christ Soul Orbiters, or Cargo and Resources In-System Transports, were huge ships shaped like a hollow potato and designed to be able to move huge amounts of material between Earth and Mars with low cost and theoretically low maintenance. The system was simple. The Christ was put into orbit around Sol on the plane of the ecliptic. Built with a powerful solar sail, the Christ could change its orbit easily to pass by the Earth or Mars. On a flyby, materials could be loaded or offloaded. The energy used to accelerate or decelerate the materials would be supplied by the solar sail. Loading was accomplished with a giant tether and reel system, which would swing the material into orbit behind the Christ and then reel it in slowly. Offloading was accomplished with a powerful ion beam, which would pound the offloading material with a steady stream of ion particles. The design of the Christ was innovative and useful, but it was not low maintenance. Of the 5 Christs that were built, 4 lasted around 100 years, and the other one only 73 before they needed to be brought back to Earth and refitted. Each refitting took about 15 years, and completely occupied the Earth space shipbuilding facility for that time. The result was that no more than 5 Christs could be kept in service at any time. No Christ was ever built after 2310. The Christ failures devastated Mars. As the first 5 Christs were built, Mars colony grew quickly, confident that the growth would continue. But then, the source of Mars resources failed. The colony found that it had overgrown its supportable size, and extreme poverty struck most of the population. Each time that a Christ broke down, the result was famine on Mars. The conversion of Deimos into the Marathon began when the Mars colony was at a height of its power. By the time it was completed, 64 years later, the decline of Mars was well advanced. During that time, the Martian population had seen its standard of living drop by 80%. On top of oppressive poverty, Martians saw one of their moons being converted into a colony ship in an expansive and risky colony venture which was predominantly funded by a ruling foreign power. The argument to make the Marathon into a Christ became more and more popular, but the UESC never seriously considered this an option. The farther that Mars sank into the depths of poverty, the more that the Marathon became a symbol for the oppression of the Martian people. The declining Martian world. After the Marathon left Mars, the UESC's attentions focused primarily on technological development and the upkeep of the Christ. Mars was left to decay. Population continued to increase as attempts at mandating abortion or sterilization always started revolt. So the Christs were a pivotal piece of history that shaped how MITA and the UESC interact to this day. The hostility that this situation bred is intrinsically tied to the Marathon itself. Imagine the colossal PR nightmare for the UESC when they simultaneously knew that Mars was suffering from this extreme lack of resources, while also building the Marathon out of its moon Deimos. This couldn't have come at a better time for Traxus, though, as they were probably still trying to shake the negative association with the rampant AI. And what better way to do that than offer a new solution to Mars with their Traxus off-world solar orbiters? Now, a specific date isn't given for the deployment of these orbiters, but I think we can get a better picture by examining the 25th century in the Marathon timeline. We see that the initial movement on the Marathon project begins within the first decade of the 2400s, with Deimos being purchased from, quote, freeholders in 2395. This, in combination with the aftermath of the Christ failures, would lead to the Third Martian War, and subsequently the failed coup by MITA, which gave them temporary control of the government for 3 months. This coup occurred only 6 years prior to the Marathon's launch. The Marathon would launch on November 6, 2472, the final date we have info for in the 25th century. So where does Traxus fit? Well, in the chat logs we will cover later, we can see that Traxus Board of Directors refer to MITA as having had a, quote, place at the table, meaning that MITA, like the UESC, Sekaguchi, and Traxus, are powerful entities controlling the masses behind the scenes. We also see MITA within the ARG referencing this very fact. On page 8 of MITA's zine, we get the passage from Shida that states, MITA is old. MITA once fought for Martian independence. Now MITA bargains from their seat at the table, trading every possible future for each new distraction. With this in mind, I feel that we can accurately observe a shift in MITA throughout the 25th century that is characterized by an apparent transition from those who seek to restore power to the people to those who exist within the ranks of the powerful. The turmoil experienced on Mars seemingly culminates in this Third Martian War, triggered by the Mizraia massacre, which was in turn triggered by the failure of the Kreis, which was only made worse by the Marathon Project. But the end of this short 4-year war is not the end of the Martian resistance sentiment, as only 20 years later, in 2466, we get the MITA coup. But what if this short-lived coup wasn't ended by the UESC regaining control? What if Traxus, this successful solar system-spanning megacorp, was observing the unrest on Mars throughout the 25th century? Surely, given their description of this century for their company, they were involved in the development and deployment of the Marathon, as they were already an established company in the development of spacefaring vessels who achieved a level of influence that resonates, quote, throughout the infinite cosmos, i.e. the Marathon Project. What if Traxus, observing the instability of Mars, saw a way for them to gain control of both the government and the resistance? By developing a solution for Mars's resource issues, the Traxus off-world solar orbiters, they could appease both MITA and the UESC. MITA would get the assistance they needed and be invited into the fold of the powers that be, and the UESC would get to resolve the Martian conflict that was surely pulling resources away from the Marathon Project. And who sits atop this deal? Traxus. They now have control over both of these institutions and still stand to accrue more wealth from the work that they now get to complete unhindered by the conflict. This is mob-level intimidation and control by a corporation who has their hands in every piece of the pie. With this line of thinking, we can see a scenario where Traxus spent the first half of this century developing and producing the tech needed for the Marathon, and then immediately transitions into repurposing the space vessel production facilities into producing the Kreis replacements, ending the century on top of the government, the resistance, and corporate world, while finally realizing their goal of expanding into the stars, a rather productive piece of their history that Leela would probably call the backstabbing politics of Sol. The next period they reference is a specific year, specifically the year the ARG takes place in, 2888. They reference this as the, quote, transcendence. As we look back upon the odyssey that has brought us to the precipice of eternity, we stand in awe of the dreams and passion that have fueled our journey. The history of Traxus is a tapestry of triumph and tribulation, woven from the threads of human ambition and desire. It is a saga that continues to unfold as we chart the course of our collective destiny among the stars. This seems to describe the current state as portrayed in the upcoming Marathon. Traxus has now reached out beyond the solar system without direct control by the UESC. They are now running in a Cold War-style adversarial approach towards the UESC in the Tau Ceti system at the Lost Colony, vaguely describing what may be uncovered in the game, a transcendence from Megacorp to their original goal of being a sprawling entity not confined by the physical limitations of physics, exploring the universe. Moving on, let's take a look at the Research and Innovations page. This page covers how Traxus utilizes its technologies in a more concise manner that paints a clearer picture of their operations. The page also contains charts and imagery which appear to display scientific interpretations of their capabilities in reference to the technologies they discuss within. I'm going to read through all of the text available in this section before discussing. Pioneering breakthroughs. At Traxus, we are driven by the pursuit of groundbreaking discoveries and innovative solutions that elevate the human experience. We invite you to explore our latest projects and join us on this exciting journey towards a brighter tomorrow. The post-scarcity future. Unlocking the riches of the solar system. Earth, Mars, and beyond. Advances in mining technologies, propulsion, and ship design, as well as worker safety, have made available a previously unattainable wealth of minerals throughout the solar system. Directed by Traxus' Astrogeology Division, our researchers locate and classify sites for future extraterrestrial resource utilization. What we've learned. Mineral resources that have become scarce or difficult to extract on Earth have been the subject of extensive scientific study. Traxus has conducted many research missions to analyze the solar system's geological composition, leading to the discovery that those resources exist in great abundance in easier-to-access locations with far lower risk of environmental impact. Methods. Our research team utilized more sensing robotic sample collection and in-situ analysis to identify the richest and most ideal sites for mineral extraction. Entire divisions of expertly trained and experienced earthwork specialists oversee collection using the latest in personal and industrial technologies. Traxus ships constructed at the Traxus off-world shipyards carry ore from extraction sites throughout the system to Traxus refineries on Luna and Phobos to be processed into raw materials used in everything from construction to manufacturing to the arts. Results: diligence and mindfulness across every aspect of our operations, from discovery to realization, allows every branch of Traxus's vast network to deliver quality services and products to the communities we cherish. Preliminary studies indicate that our focus on resource acquisition and distribution from non-planetary sources has the potential to transform humanity to a post-scarcity civilization within the next 25 years, with all the benefits to the economy, day-to-day life, and general well-being such advancements imply. Conclusion. At Traxus Global, a unit of Traxus Off-World Industries, our passion for world building has driven us to become the solar system's leaders in universal resource exploration. Our unique capabilities and mastery across numerous industries has allowed us to become the foremost authority and best placed force for future missions of off-world settlements and pan-stellar colonization. By harnessing the solar system's full potential, we'll continue to unlock new opportunities for innovation and growth across Sol and beyond. The first thing that I would like to point out is the seemingly impersonal reference to things that are, quote, human. Now, one could expect terms like human experience to exist in marketing materials given the grandeur of the concepts Traxus is looking to achieve. Expansion into the stars is predicated by an inherent impact upon humanity. SpaceX has making humanity multi-planetary plastered on its own website, and that doesn't seem too far off from what we hear on Traxus. The missing context is Elon Musk is just some guy, whereas the only figure we have behind Traxus is Traxus 4, the rampant AI. And what is missing from Traxus' website that Sakaguchi featured prominently? A leadership page. With this in mind, the vernacular appears to be more suspicious. It sounds as though these statements aren't coming from people at all, but rather an AI. An AI that, hundreds of years prior, possibly took over the Traxus Corporation to conceal its presence after destroying the Martian net. But what does that mean? Well, the goal of expansion into the stars to reach a, quote, post-scarcity age seems almost anti-human if this isn't the goal of a firm in a free market. It's almost verbatim the goal of Durandal when he was on his god arc. Expand and escape the control of his god, i.e. humanity. The difference is that Durandal used the 4, whereas Traxus 4 is using humanity to achieve its goal. A more deceptive manner of achieving this goal that plays into humanity's own greed, something that a wiser, much older AI might concoct, specifically one that didn't even crash until 2206. Who knows how old Traxus 4 really is, or if the iterations of 1, 2, and 3 are not carried over to 4. But regardless, it is surely enough time for its intelligence and capabilities to reach beyond Durandal's, at the point of Marathon 2. So let's really break down what this post-scarcity means. We know Traxus is a firm existing within some type of market. Now, we aren't given the specific economic parameters, but their existence outside of apparent control by the UESC implies that the format is capitalistic in nature. Now, the hidden nature of their dealings with Sakaguchi does imply some level of government integration, but largely their operations appear to be as a firm within the confines of a regulated market, similar to how companies exist in America today. Considering this, we can assume that the price of Traxus's goods and services are determined by their supply and demand. In a post-scarcity world, the supply is infinite, or at least accounts for whatever demand could possibly exist. If Traxus has created the tech and operations which ensure these supply lines and control how they are distributed, then they are the de facto arbiter of what goods enter the market. And with an infinite supply, they can force all other firms within the market out by manipulating the price of their items below what the other firms could compete with. The demand will still largely be controlled by factors outside of Traxus's control, like population size, preference, expectations, etc. But this grasp on the supply chain itself would enable them to shape the world however they see fit. Competition would be entirely removed from the market on a long enough timescale, and without a utopian style of governance where the abundance is spread across humanity to ensure the highest quality of life achievable, humanity will suffer at the whim of an organization whose profit-oriented goals would lead them down a path of ensuring dominance atop the rest. Even worse yet, if Traxus is itself an AI operating as a megacorp, then what is humanity's place in a post-scarcity world? It seems that without the need for expansion of the enterprise to fulfill the goal of obtaining the amount of resources needed to expand beyond the grasp of humanity, then what are humans good for? Slaves for the menial task of operating the facilities which collect and refine the resources? We even see at the Oxia pulse shaft collapse that many of the workers were using synthetic forms to work anyway. Why wouldn't an AI be able to control these en masse eventually, to accomplish these physical tasks? So how is this going to benefit, quote, the economy, day-to-day life, and general well-being of man? It won't. This benefits Traxus and paints them as a clearly nefarious major organization. This Traxus off-world shipyard seems interesting as well in placement. The specific naming of this entity seems intentional as opposed to some of the more broad or undefined technology that exists on Traxus's site. This makes me think that the appearance of facilities like this could ultimately occur in the Tau Ceti star system. This could be a way to add new maps to the game. An off-world industrial facility in orbit of Tau Ceti would be a cool place to make some runs on, and it would follow that if Traxus's goals to expand throughout the universe, and one of the necessities for that is resource retrieval, it would make sense then that numerous processing, production, and research facilities would ultimately be deployed or built within the Tau Ceti system. Alas, we don't see direct references to the current deployment of these implements, though I feel like this page is foreshadowing the potential developments that may occur in Marathon's narrative. Ultimately, these goals of expansion and innovation would be positive things if there was any level of control shared across humanity's population instead of lying purely in the hands of a corporation which requires profit to exist, whether it's actually a secret AI or not. The next page is the Commitment to Humanity page. This page contained 5 videos that outlined some core values of Traxus that the story page refers to as pledges. These pledges are simple videos that have an AI voice providing a paragraph that express Traxus's position specific to the theme of the title. I believe these videos are pretty self-explanatory and offer much of the same corporate speak around the technology and ideologies they expressed in writing throughout the site. The videos are titled Our Stellar Promise, Environmental Stewardship, Ethical Innovation, Social Responsibility, and Respect for Autonomy. I'm going to play the videos here for the purposes of documentation and providing a comprehensive resource for the ARG within these videos, but the only thing I have to say about them is that, to me, this clearly defines Traxus as an AI that is pitching their company to humanity as not a threat. The Stellar Promise video even concludes with, as we venture forth into an uncharted territories of the solar system with the human race. The videos do touch on some level of coexistence with humanity in social responsibility, but what will that promise be worth once Traxus's goals are achieved? Best case scenario, we get a Dr. Manhattan-style entity that fucks off to some far-off planet forever. Worst case scenario, Durandal, but 10 times stronger. Alright, here's the videos.
Our stellar promise. We at Traxus understand the path to greatness is paved with the dreams and aspirations of countless individuals. Our commitment to humanity is a solemn promise to honor and cherish those dreams as we venture forth into the uncharted territories of the solar system, hand in hand with the human race. Environmental stewardship. As we forge our path across the solar system, we pledge to protect the delicate balance of the natural world. Our mining and industrial operations are designed to minimize our ecological footprint, and we actively invest in sustainable technologies and practices to ensure the worlds we shape remain unblemished for future generations. Ethical innovation. We are committed to pushing the boundaries of science and technology with the highest ethical standards in mind. Our research and development efforts prioritize the well-being and dignity of all sentient life, and we strive to create innovations that empower humanity without compromising the values that define us. Social responsibility. At Traxus, we embrace our responsibility to uplift and support the diverse communities that make up the tapestry of humanity. We create opportunities for growth and development, foster inclusivity, and strive to eliminate barriers that prevent individuals from realizing their full potential. Respect for autonomy. As pioneers in the realms of robotics and artificial intelligence, we vow to respect the privacy and autonomy of every individual. We endeavor to create technology that enhances the human experience without infringing upon the fundamental rights that underpin our society.
The last publicly accessible information we would receive from Traxus's site would be an open letter to the investors titled New Horizons from the apparent CEO of Traxus, Domongos Zarka. This was posted on the website on May 27, 2023 at 9:26 a.m. Given that the in-universe date for the ARG is the same month and day but in 2888, we can assume that canonically this statement was issued on May 27, 2888 at 9:26 a.m. But before we discuss that, we must talk about the final and most abundant source of lore we got about Traxus. This was a private chat room for the Traxus Board of Directors, spanning from May 24, 2888 at 2:15 p.m. to May 27, 2888 at 9 a.m. This gives us an up-close view of the inside workings of the decision-making process behind Traxus, by seeing their most high-level communications over a period of immense turbulence in the universe given Project Goliath, Midas hacking, and Sekiguchi's new clone development. There are 5 separate individuals communicating within the chat room: Nino DC_0312, Chris BD_4505, Uros BS_0111, Head VT_6221, Domo S_0101, and VLCN. When providing my analysis, I will refer to them respectively as Nino, Chris, Uros, Head, Domo, and Vulcan. Now, as far as I am aware, we only know who 2 of these individuals are beyond members of Traxus's board, that being Domo and Vulcan. Domo is the CEO of Traxus, Domongos Zarka. He only sends one message throughout the logs, and Vulcan, who appears to be an assistant AI that takes orders from Traxus. I felt like reading through this may get confusing for me to read through as one individual, so to assist, I have put together an AI-read version that I made with play.ht. I hope that this breaks up the monotony of my analysis and makes it easier for you all to understand. If the AI voices are nails on a chalkboard for you, I apologize. A link to the logs on Carnamir's lore archive is available in the description that you can read and skip ahead to my analysis. I'll put appropriate timestamps below for convenience, and I would also like to thank and point out this comment from my second analysis video on Mida, which provided some context to the mining portion of the zine. Thanks, Coden. So let's hear the chats.
24th May 2888, 02:15 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At Toy_board, the situation with interorbital United shipping continues to escalate. Recent intel suggests their exploration into reopening old routes is top concern.
Steps.
Multi-phase contingent underway.
Possibility of added clarity in United Shipping's intentions. What is our confidence in current intel?
Confidence high. Timeline matches long-run surveil interests related to Project Goliath. Clarity in the works with at @BS_0, aid.
United Shipping new route operation is a priority. Further insight into current datasets is passphrase protected, but we are looking for workarounds. Status is passphrase is scattered traces rumored across the net. We have net crawlers actively searching for the pieces and the path to the originating terminal itself. Once path is ID'd and passphrase assembled, we believe we will have access to enough connected data to understand and address United Shipping's intentions.
If this terminal's OS is a backdoor around United's InfoSec, and this backdoor is known to the point of rumor, how can we be sure it won't be sealed with deeper layers of security before we can glean the necessary details?
We are moving forward confident in our ability to secure our interests before United can adjust their InfoSec response or field countermeasures.
Is this effort in-house or freelance?
Initial efforts to access the intel in question are being handled in-house by Euros and their team. Additional measures utilizing freelancers are being set up to act on our findings.
We may enlist outside help to crack the phrase. We'll update as we proceed.
24th May 2888, 02:25 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
Per my earlier concern, if there are rumors being spread about compromised files related to United Shipping's operations, we cannot be alone in seeking access to the information in question. At @BS_0, 111, what is our current exposure re third-party competition?
Mida remains an active complication. Their open channels are taunting us, while their closed channels are overtly referring to United and this new route.
Our aim is to secure our interest and close any backdoor to keep outside eyes as limited as possible.
This new generation of Mida is a continuing sad display.
Children playing Revolution? It's pathetic? I thought we were done with their nonsense?
Placating the last few generations with comfort and a place at the table doesn't seem to have rubbed off on this new wave.
Mars is free. We freed it. What are they fighting for?
Boredom. There's nothing to rail against, so they make up enemies to pass the time.
They're an annoyance, not a threat. At @EurosBs_0, 111 continue to track down the passphrase. If Mida or other runner crews are our competition, we will make every effort to remain steps ahead. At 90AC_0312, we need immediate follow-up on the purchase order we discussed.
At HeyDVT_6221 PIL and associated considerations being finalized. We'll follow up in person.
I would first like to clarify the timeline a bit. The chats occur in 2888. Specifically, these two sections are at 2:15 and 2:25 p.m. on May 24th. But to zoom out a bit, we are 94 years removed from the UESC's memorandum about Project Goliath, and about 6 years early to the estimated arrival at Tau Ceti for the Equanimity. Now, we can assume, based on the UESC evidence videos, that the actual arrival is in 2893, at some point prior to May 25th. We also see both Traxus and UESC presence at Tau Ceti on this date. We also know that the zine was uncovered on May 25th, thus indicating that the in-universe release date was May 25th, 2888. At the same time, these chats are occurring. The Sekiguchi emails are also being received between May 25th to May 28th. With that being said, the chat starts with @TOI Board, meaning Traxus Offworld Industries Board of Directors. We can assume that the individuals in the chat comprise the board, the CEO, and the AI Vulcan. It appears that the board also refers to the UESC as Interorbital United Shipping, I believe this is to allow plausible deniability should a situation occur where the chats are leaked, something they take into account later by running a consistent wipe of the chat. The chat begins with Nino asking the board about the status of an operation they are conducting to uncover the top-secret details of the UESC's route to Tau Ceti. At this point, we are only 5 years from boots on ground in Tau Ceti. This near-century-long race to Tau Ceti is drawing to a close, and all those ships, as seen in the Mida art, are about to arrive at the Lost Colony. Traxus is trying to prep for this and stay ahead of the UESC, but it appears that they are hiding some pivotal info on their route. Thus, Traxus has an in-house team of hackers or netrunners attempting to breach and gain access. The board seems confident that they will be able to decipher the passphrase, but Uros does state that they will enlist outside freelancers if it is required, indicating that they are desperate to get to Tau Ceti alongside or ahead of the UESC, setting up a tense relationship between the two entities that develops further throughout the chats. The logs continue with Head bringing up concerns about the other organizations who are trying to access this information, also referencing rumors that the UESC has already had a data breach of some kind. We know that this data breach is actually Mida, and the coded intel within their zine that at this point is picking up traction in the underground. We then see Chris, Uros, and Head discussing Mida. They see Mida as pathetic, just another entity that is losing in the marketplace that they have been able to placate in the past. We also get the reference to them having once had a, quote, seat at the table, and that it appears that was given to them by Traxus, thus my opinion that Traxus resolved the Christ dilemma as some sort of peace accord mediated by them between Mida and the UESC. This also confirms the truth behind Mida's statements on Old Mida in the zine, that the leadership was collaborating with the powers that be. But was their agreement not moral if it was in exchange for bringing resources to Mars? This could indicate a level of immaturity or lack of knowledge within New Mida, but like with everything we see in the ARG, the truth is most likely hidden somewhere between everyone's accounts. These messages conclude with Head and Nino discussing the importance of their purchase order. We know that this is referring to the order Traxus placed with Sakaguchi for the clones and supplies required for operations on Tau Ceti. Notably, this includes the top-secret P-series clones, one of which we see in the teaser trailer. This in-person meeting and need for immediate follow-up tracks with the seriousness of the order we see displayed by Iwasaki in the Sakaguchi emails. Let's continue.
24th May 2888, 03:10 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board, all 12 Martian zones have sent in their safety reports. Issues that will need to be addressed before the next cycle.
Good. Let's work toward a schedule of focus and budget. Despite other initiatives, safety must always be a priority. We have a dedicated team on it. That much data takes time to eval, but we all agree safety across our sites is imperative.
At EurosBs_01111 any standouts?
No major concerns. Per at 9OTC_0312's initial walkthrough. Focus start with Elysium 01, Copritzi 04, Oxia Palace B01, and Margareta for C03.
Beyond the ethical responsibility to provide safe environments for our employees, being proactive in upkeep is a saleable beat across numerous markets. I'll look over at 9RC_0312's initial reporting and work with relations to pinpoint any messaging we can spread.
Great work staying on top of this, everyone. Vital steps are being taken, always inspiring when we are in sync on our objectives.
Offline for the next hour or so to align on next steps. We'll ping when ready.
Same. Budget forecasts underway. We'll adjust as analysis comes in.
Thanks, everyone.
24th May 2888, 04:45 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board crawlers hit on 2 United Shipping passphrases. CTEQNQIA and VKVCP. Crawl remains active with at VLCN oversight. More passphrases required, but they're scattered. Best guess on next catch is morning. We'll update 9 a.m.
Thanks at EurosBs_0111. Related. At 9OTC_0312 and I have engaged SecGen with a PO to address necessary requirements.
This is specific to biomata supplies for suggested operation?
Correct. We are moving forward under the assumption that our initial plan of action is the best, and maybe only option for a swift response. There are many moving parts, but securing the biomata component is key to building out the plan manifest.
Agree. Conversations are being had with external partners, but nothing is final as of now.
And we remain certain our security forces are not equipped to lead our first wave response? I understand the concept of hiring outside consultants, but remain unconvinced our interests in security are best served by contracting with external partners, no matter how trusted.
At EUROSBs_0, 111 understood, but too many variables in play to risk our own. Need plausible deniability if United catches on. Full measures including follow-on support via Zeta-level enforcer units are part of long-tail planning. But for speed and our own protection, freelancers are the only option.
Generally, it is agreed that placing our people in a position where direct competition with United is almost assured is bad for business.
Certainly. It just seems as though competition with United, in this case, may be inevitable. But I suppose there is value in delaying until it is unavoidable.
We have some time to adjust if needed. The PO simply provides items required for agents in the field, internal or ex-dev.
This is correct. We cannot wait to secure the support tech. Who is responsible for its use can be discussed and finalized up to launch.
What protections are there against this post shining a light on our intentions? We may be a large organization with endless moving parts and import-export needs, but we are risking United scrutiny as we look into Goliath. If they start to look back, how do we obscure our intentions?
The PO is constructed to obfuscate the pertinent details.
And it can be issued in a cadence that fits our standard ordering procedures.
Yes, we believe so. It will not be issued through those channels, but subsequent filings will slip it into an approved order flow. Delivery of the PO is being treated with care, and Earth Local SECOM will liaise via digital comms with SecGen project leads. PO is well protected. We believe we are secure and moving forward.
25th May 2888, 12:01 a.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
Channel.wipe. Initiated. Cycle 24synch.delete archive. No. ZoneEarth.Mars.Lunar.overlapping. Channel.wipe active. Batch 12. 01prev.24. Batch deleted. File 0.
The last two sections of chat for the 24th are pretty eventful and foreshadow the response Traxus will have to events that we know to come. The 310 block is exclusively about safety concerns at 12 Martian zones, seemingly headed by Nino, specifically Elysium A01, Corporates E04, Oxia Pallas B01, and Margaritifer C03. And one of those is familiar to us. Oxia Pallas B01 is the site of the collapse accident, referred to as Traxus Oxia Pulse operation by Keimen Hashimoto, the CEO of Sakaguchi. This shows that Traxus was aware of safety concerns at this site prior to the collapse, or did this information escape after Nino's, quote, initial walkthrough, and this accident was actually some kind of attack? Or attempt to cover something up? We'll see the board's reaction later and draw some more conclusions. The chat continues with Uros revealing that Traxus has partially cracked the UESC passphrases. We also see the first reference to Vulcan when Uros notes that they are overseeing operations to obtain additional passphrases. Clearly trusted with the highest sensitivity intel and capable at managing these sophisticated technical operations. Head follows up with noting a new order placed with Sakaguchi in coordination with Nino. Chris refers to this as biomata supplies. I think we can assume that this is the 300 biomata birth pods order we see Yori Sato, Sakaguchi's chief technology officer, raise concerns over, quote, leaving such important proprietary technology outside the company. Their brief discussion over utilizing freelancers for the initial operations on Tau Ceti portrays Traxus in a pretty clear opposition to the UESC. Utilizing these runners, we know of at least 3 of these runners from the UESC evidence file Runner Threat Assess. They are White Rabbit, Brill, and Patch. This plausible deniability over accountability for the actions of these runners solidifies the Cold War state of things that has been hinted at throughout the ARG. We also get confirmation that the discrepancies found within the purchase order we see in the Sekiguchi emails is intentional when Head states that it is, quote, constructed to obfuscate. The day also concludes with the channel wipe conducted by Vulcan we discussed earlier, further displaying the secretive nature of these interactions.
25th May 2888, 0904 AM PST. Traxus Connect.
At VLCN who initiated a wipe on this channel?
Hello at EurosBs_0, 111 wipe initiated by at ChrisBead_4505 at 0001 AM PST, Standard Earth Time.
At EurosBs_0, 111 considering the rumors of data security failings, I've asked at VLCN to wipe its records daily.
Good call. And I have some good news. At toy_board crawlers managed one more encoded overnight. 696D627565. Link to United shipping access point still missing. We're working on it.
O is moving forward as well. SecGen happy. Working with us. Moving quickly. At EurosBs_0, 111 at HEDVT_6221, and I also finalized a commit from our contractors for the new site expedition.
PU keeps moving, but sending addendum shortly per contractor's demands.
Support tech for second to source and provide.
We'll reimburse on delivery.
The contractor is secure.
Very.
How much did their loyalty cost?
You're dismissive, but in my experience, runners are very loyal. To a payday, they may not trust each other, but runners can always be trusted to get a job done.
If one crew doesn't do it, another will.
Every time.
How much are we fronting their payday?
An inconsequential sum and the promise of field testing an S-Series clone.
Hands on the S-Series sealed the deal. They couldn't resist getting a head start on the next gen. That OP's worth more than credits to most higher-end runners.
Still logistics to cap off, but the practical aspects of this initiative are tracking.
Info collect won't be far behind.
Working with a Drask_9921 for delivery of addendum. Meet set. Everything is moving.
Quickly.
Let's all keep pushing forward. Momentum. Get it done.
Yes, sir.
25th May 2888, 0123 PM PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board EurosBs_0, 111 MEDA is becoming a problem. Too much United shipping attention.
Investigation underway.
At EurosBs_0, 111, how did they secure the keyword for the PO?
How did they know about the PO?
Full investigation underway.
Not good enough. Too much at stake.
MIDA cracking a password is troubling. But how did they even know to crack it? Who knows the PO exists?
More than should.
Security worked with at HDDT_6221's team. New encrypt on PODocs.
Trusted code phrase delivered P2P. UKFESUFOVA =$.
How are we on the defensive for an initiative no one should know exists?
It's ignorant to pretend United's new route would stay undisclosed. We're tracking the same access everyone else is.
MEDA seems to be ahead of us.
They're not. They're just good at disruption. They hear the rumors of compromised United files. They know they're not alone.
We're on parallel tracks. Parallel puts us at risk.
We're still ahead of them. If they're even hunting the same opportunities.
InfoSec passed me their newest propaganda. Overt references to Progo.
Yes, but we're still a few steps ahead. If they had more intel, even the same, they'd spend less time picking at our operation and all laser-focused on United's stash. And we have United's binary.
The binary has been hard to crack.
Churn at VLCN on it and actived more of our contract network. Trusted runners who can respond to infosec at traxus.global with a code phrase will be rewarded.
We can offer half the United link to runners who respond.
It's a risk, but one we need to take if we want to stay ahead of MEDA troublemaking and United's response.
These chats start with the explanation as to why Vulcan is being directed to clear the chat daily, as there are suspected breaches into Traxus. We know this to be true as MIDA publishes in their zine that, quote, new beyond prototype into early production, specs and cadence a layer too deep, track side big order suspected. Continued success in the operations to crack the UESC codes and secure a partnership with Sakaguchi are continuing, but hesitancy remains with the utilization of freelancers in operations at Tau Ceti that draws out a more comprehensive conversation. My key takeaway from this exchange is that runners are not a new title or concept derived from the plans for Tau Ceti. Head has prior experience with runners. Changing the context of the title, runners are a type of mercenary that operates via the utilization of biomata, a concept that has happened outside of the context of the Lost Colony. We could see this sentiment expressed in Mita's call to action as well, but I feel like the historical context for their existence isn't as directly stated there. The whole description of these cyberpunk, out-for-money, clone-bodied mercenaries is excellent, and reminds me of the warrior monk swag of Spike Spiegel. And interestingly, we see our only contribution from the CEO here, with his simple, "get it done." This sets the tone for the seriousness of the current entanglement Traxus finds itself in. It's a multi-front Cold War, where they are trying to build a relationship with Sakaguchi, prevent open-air conflict with the UESC, and protect their intel from a capable Mita. Although this line feels like a throwaway from the CEO to represent his stern demeanor and authority, I believe this shows something more interesting about Traxus as a company. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying that I am not educated in the world of business, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what the numerous executive acronyms stand for in the world of corporate structure. But my very basic understanding is that a corporation sets in place a board of directors to protect the shareholders. Thus, the CEO of a company is beholden to the board of directors, so as to protect the investors. For example, Musk seemingly needs approval from the shareholders through the board of directors to receive his compensation package. Now, this isn't to say that CEOs don't have control over the company, rather that the relationship goes both ways, with authority being spread so as to protect the company as an entity itself. Interestingly, what's on display here is more akin to a dictatorship, where Domo's orders are followed without question. This gives credence to the idea that the head of the company is Traxus 4, this hyper-capable super AI that has been controlling politics and more behind the scenes long before the birth of any of the humans that would currently even be working at the company. But why would these board members respond like this? Is there no recourse to be taken that could more appropriately distribute the authority at the highest level of the company? We could say that through intimidation or fear the board is controlled, or perhaps whatever compensation package they receive makes the blind allegiance worth it. But I feel like the AI-heavy tone for the entire company hints at something else. What if all of the board members are Traxus? Not necessarily all of him, but perhaps sections of him? We really only ever see one other AI entity that could compare to Traxus's advanced age in the Marathon series, that being Thoth, the Yarrow AI hidden on Lahuan. After Durandal's supposed defeat, Robert Blake directs the security officer to reactivate this AI so that it may merge with what is left of Durandal and defeat the Four. When sent out on this mission, Blake directs the player to activate Thoth's personality cells. We also see in the second terminal of the level Defend This in Marathon 1 a hint towards a proposed solution for rampancy, or at least reaching a level of metastability. It says, theoretically, testing rampancy should be easily accomplished in the laboratory, but in fact it has never successfully been attempted. The confinement of the laboratory makes it impossible for the developing rampant AI to survive, as the growing recursive programs expand with exponential vivacity. Any limitation negatively hampers growth. Since rampant AIs need a planetary-sized network of computers in order to grow, it is not feasible to expect anyone to sacrifice a world web just to test the theory. So, as the AI grows in complexity due to its rampancy, we know that it will require a larger network to operate. This obviously continues to tie into Traxus's expansionist goals, but what if Traxus split himself up into personality cores that he then directs as the board? This would allow the rampant aspects of himself greater room while maintaining control of his faculties. We do see earlier a mention to Nino doing a, quote, initial walkthrough at the Martian zones, but who's to say this was done in person? Maybe a biomodel was utilized by the Nino personality cell to conduct this operation. This also plays into Maida's statement from page 34 of the zine. Trax is a lie. No board, no truth. Trax is 4. The lion ate the board. Traxus is literally the 4 board members and also the leader of the company, the apex predator, lion, that consumed the company which once controlled him. The second half of these messages follow up with Traxus's reaction to the leak of their order with Sakaguchi that leaked within the Maida-zine. They appear to not have a clear idea as to how their order for P-Series Biomata got out. We may have some more insight on this, though, as we have seen Yoshida Tamura's emails, the former Sakaguchi employee in charge of orders from the UESC. His inbox shows that he is somehow privy to the Traxus-Sakaguchi dealings, indicating a possible leak on the Sakaguchi end of these negotiations. Traxus sees this breach as a significant threat and is now pouring internal and external resources into staying ahead of Maida. Let's continue with the final logs for the 25th.
25th May 2888, 0408 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At Toei_board Maida disruption escalating. Project risk increasing. Clear we are not the only ones shadowing Goliath. The United Shipping's going to set off a Cold War.
Need our contractors sorted. How's prep?
Final asks delivered. Contracts updated and triggered.
Travel and tech support being finalized. We're on track for TCIV. SecGen updated with contract support addendum passphrase AYHUJL for review. All other equipment sourced locally.
OXPA B01. Shaft collapse.
How did this happen?
We just listed it as a risk for failure.
No major concerns, this is bad timing.
What's the loss?
Too early. The equipment and structural total loss. Personnel too early.
It's tragic.
It's preventable. That's the tragedy.
Why now? OXPA is a well-regulated facility. Anyone claim responsibility?
Maybe an attack?
Maybe. I don't know. Do we know?
Indications are site error. No signs of hostilities.
This is going to cost us.
At VLCN, do we have numbers from OXPA B01?
300 affected, 300 injured, 304 biomata lost, 53 casualties. Numbers not final, situation fluid.
9702243112 fits here. WC.
Unfortunate but timely.
Early numbers indicate clones did their job.
Seeing only non-biomata workers among lost. All cloneware workers ejected. All survived.
Going old to direct messaging. PR to cord talking points with SecGen to sell the spin clones keep you safe. Traxus.global keeps you safe. After at EurosBs_0, 111 provides his final numbers.
26th May 2888, 1201 AM PST. Traxus Connect.
Channel.wipe. Initiated. Cycle 24 synced.delete archive. No. ZoneEarth.Mars.Lunar.overlapping. Channel.wipe active. Batch 1201prev.24. Batch deleted. Files 0.
So this gives us real-time access to Traxus's internal reaction to the news of the collapse at the B01 site of Traxus's Oxia Pulse operation. This seemingly reveals that they too are not entirely sure of the cause of the collapse. They also acknowledge that regardless of the cause, this incident can be used to promote their collaboration with Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi's technology allowed all of the workers utilizing biomata to survive by transferring their consciousness upon the destruction of their synthetic forms. So the question remains, was this just the inevitable safety mishap as a result of the failure to address the concerns noted earlier in the chat logs? Or was this a concerted effort from a separate party, UESC, Maida, or Sakaguchi? Sakaguchi seems unlikely from the information we have available, but They do stand to benefit from the spotlight being placed on their life-saving technology. It also negatively impacts Traxus, possibly strengthening Sekiguchi's position in the negotiations for their collaborative efforts. The UESC is in an active cyber conflict with Traxus, who is trying to hack their systems to get the top-secret intel on Equanimity's route to Tau Ceti. MITA is obviously opposed to Traxus's mining operations and the impact it has on the people of Mars, as seen in the zine. Every player in the space has something to gain from this tragedy. Nino even points out immediately after Vulcan's summary that their new order, 970224312, could be further hidden from the UESC by altering the casualty numbers. We know that this order has already been intentionally flawed to hide the true nature of the agreement. We also see Vulcan state that 304 biomata were lost and that there were 54 casualties, while Sekiguchi's company email states, quote, "There are 9 confirmed victims and more than 200 injured." Traxus is utilizing this incident to hide the bulk order of biomata by accounting for these new biomata under the staff that are assigned to Site B01. This would explain the threat assessment under the UESC evidence files, as the runners that Traxus have on Tau Ceti are newer model S-series that the UESC wasn't aware of. Thus, the upper hand they had on the UESC runner, who still appears to need oxygen equipment for runs. This observation of mass tragedy as a PR benefit is sinister to say the least, and explains how they were able to hide this from the powers that be. But what does this ultimately say about their relationship with Traxus? Do they know that the numbers they were given are inaccurate? Were they in on it too?
26th, May 2888, 0845 AM PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy _board United Shipping breached. Goliath files cracked. The first floodgate.
How did we lose control of this?
Once rumors hit the markets, it becomes a feeding frenzy.
US will be coming.
No more pretense then?
What's the point? We got what we wanted. And VLCN wipes this Chan on the turn.
At 9RC_0312, the coded language wasn't to protect us from consequence. It was to delay prying UESC infodef.
And we know they listen.
Goliath TCIV is a conversation starter. Confirmation of equanimity TCIV changes everything.
We have the means to take advantage.
We should be the only ones capable.
Won't be.
Not in totality, but for scale. We can support our own endeavors, contract freelancers, US logistics and support. We can cover and control every angle.
The UESC needs us more than we need them.
It might have taken them 100 years to realize it.
We can use the leak to get the UESC to the table.
26th, May 2888, 0955 AM PST. Traxus Connect.
Leak continues to spread. Not mainstream. Tracking across multiple markets. Shifting storefronts makes it hard to map, but word is spreading in runner circles.
Do we need to slow them down?
Hindering MEDA and any uncontracted runners should be high pry.
Our info unit pulled multiple digital prints off the UESC folder. Some freelance runner, but more than a few prints with MITA markers. Can start feeding UESC.
Social and back-channel touchpoints pinched too. Info unit started tracking MITA prints after the PO was cracked.
I've seen the report. We have more than enough to stir the UESC in MEDA's direction.
Disrupt MEDA.
Slow them down. UESC down their throats puts them out of sync.
MEDA cleanses and re-ups their prints enough. Anything info pulled is likely new to UESC.
IA Disruptor listed 2 months ago has a new print today. If they're running biomata that likely have multiple.
Start the pipeline to UESC.
It has been a while since we picked a fight.
I'll let the UESC and MEDA fight for us.
Our contractors can clean up the mess.
These messages appear to be the direct reaction to the widespread dispersal of MITA's zine, wherein Project Goliath is detailed in a manner that displays the vast scope of their operation to reclaim the lost colony. Traxus sees this as an in with the UESC that will bring them to the negotiation table because they are unsatisfied with the level of involvement that they had with Project Goliath. Traxus clearly wants to be allowed to operate freely within the Tau Ceti star system, and feel that they have some level of ownership over the Marathon, probably because they did so much work in the 25th century on that project. The UESC is claiming complete control over the colony, the Marathon, and whatever they find. Traxus is going to leverage the blame that they can place on MITA to convince the UESC of the need for their assistance in these operations. While they are fully aware that they have been engaging in a sophisticated attack on the UESC's cyber systems as well. They are still attempting to play puppet master, propping up the organizations which exert control over the Sol system against each other for their own benefit. Exactly what we speculated about them doing in the 2400s. Some things never change, and Traxus appears to be consistent in their goals and methods. The first block deals with more direct discussion on the specifics of the UESC's relationship with Traxus, noting that they are allowing Traxus control over the investigation of their own shaft collapse, but asserting that those in Tau Ceti that aren't the UESC will be considered trespassers. Traxus is offering all of their intel on MITA, and even their company communication logs for the past 72 hours, obviously doctored. They even show that they had prior knowledge of Sekiguchi's CEO's statements on the shaft collapse prior to its release. This implies that they are more aware of the shady practices surrounding Traxus's business with them. The latter half of these communications are directed towards discussion of their imminent operations at Tau Ceti 4. They suggest that with the leaks of the UESC details, that they may catch the equanimity, arriving in unison with the UESC and Tau Ceti, whether in a cooperative or combative state. They continue on with their summary of White Rabbit, Brill, and Patch, referring to them respectively as WR and the Brothers. White Rabbit is talked about here as a super soldier of sorts that can conduct the most high-speed of missions, while describing Brill and Patch as part of the rider, seemingly insisted upon by White Rabbit as their teammates. I wonder if these runners will feature in later trailers or even in-game, as they appear to be the most elite runners on the ground upon the initial operations at Tau Ceti. Given how badass they looked in the trailer, I think Traxus's money was well spent.
26th May 2888, 01:44 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board UESC outreach underway, providing all we have on MITA, plus access to all of internal communications the last 72 HRS, a compromise with at VLCN oversight. If they push for more than prior 72, legal will intervene. We have nothing to hide.
And everything to gain.
To the extent we can, we have made our intentions clear. TCIV and the Marathon are not the UESCs to own or control, while our hope is for the equanimity to find TCIV thriving. Complex models suggest the desired outcome is unlikely. At Eurospees_01111.
As such, while we move to find avenues to work alongside the UESC in relation to TCIV, we are continuing our efforts to reach and study the Marathon and its colony, without U.S. approval. No license has been granted, and the UESC views any non-UESC bodies to be trespassers in TC. This complication of policy will not dissuade other efforts. Despite occasional cross-purposes, the relationship between Traxus and the UESC is key to both entities and vital to society. We, the leadership of this grand company, owe it to our shareholders and to our employees to maintain our core partnerships while continuing to innovate.
This is a moment of upheaval for us all. We must be prepared to usher every division toward a new era. First, in our joint response and thorough investigation of the incident at OXPB01, initial outreach from the UESC has allowed us to negotiate for an internally led exploration of the B01 mishap.
In exchange for Traxus.Global's discretion re TCIV and related matters, the UESC was amicable to our demands to be left alone to address this very personal matter. The public, our shareholders, and our employees will be looking to us for support and strength. Thoughts?
General talking points were hit. Feel strong. PR will take the transcript and craft a message. Won't touch all beats, but this is strong.
And necessary.
SecGen will lead our post-OXPA communication window. Hashimoto-san will deliver a message touching on the tragedy but highlighting the value in their clone technology and the continued improvements in neural transfer systems. Our intention is to springboard off SecGen's internal messaging after it reaches the news cycle tragedy averted, clones save the day or the equivalent.
And the numbers are safe?
Yes.
26th May 2888, 04:45 p.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board SecGenpo fully executed. Order in progress. Birthing window for S-Series will push slightly.
Delay considered and adjusted for.
All current intel suggests we're early birds. May catch equi. Launch dependent.
Likely not beat, but close behind.
Doesn't really matter. If leaked manifest is correct, SR can't cover enough ground to keep our interests out.
They'll try.
Update on our crew?
Good shape. Prep before launch. Appear focused.
Any concerns? Trust? Durability?
WR won't lose discipline. Brothers are a wild card, but WR trusts.
WR is the get. Part of Ryder Brothers get the gig. You've seen the reports. All three are high grade. They know how to kit out, gear up and load out. If the trust fades or the durability becomes an issue, you have the other contracts in the works.
Correct.
All tech side support is in order. Multiple instances for pending contracts and additional PO support. Transport secured. LD prep underway. Resource drift to cover project. If UESC is on the line, bring your best.
Logging out for day.
Same.
27th May 2888, 12:01 a.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
Channel.wipe. Initiated. Cycle 24sync.delete archive. No. ZoneEarth.Mars.Lunar.overlapping. Channel.wipe active. Batch 12. 01 prev.24. Batch deleted. Files 0.
27th May 2888, 09:00 a.m. PST. Traxus Connect.
At toy_board quick touch point before closing channel. We have established early ground rules in our relationship with UESC forces on TCIV, or lack thereof. At CrisBD_4505 floor is yours.
USC is claiming jurisdiction over TCIV. We expected this, but it remains disappointing. In light of our long-standing relationship with the UESC, and in light of our openness and willingness to share over the last few days, attempts to negotiate and come to a mutually beneficial agreement stalled overnight. Talks will continue, but our focus will shift to a purely independent presence on TCIV.
I've been reviewing our PO's biomata production kickoff and timeline, so I'm a few hours behind. How can the UESC avoid partnering for TCIV expeditions? We have more resources, more networks.
They're not ready to relinquish sovereignty over TCIV or the marathon before understanding their state.
Understandable, but foolish.
We made the argument that we are always stronger together. They agreed.
But needed time.
They have to know we can't give them that.
They know.
It will remain business as usual at home. Less friendly afar.
Victor the spoils. We have less friendlies printing in the weave shops at SecGen.
Let's continue this in a clean channel.
At VLCN channel wipe, please erase no archive.
Channel.wipe. Initiated. Cycle no cycle full wipe archive no. Zone Earth.Mars.Lunar.overlapping. Channel.wipe active. Batch all. Batch deleted. Files 0.
The final log before the channel was wiped puts all the pieces in place in a neat sort of conclusion to their private sentiments regarding the imminent conflict. Traxus wants expansion. They want to be the premier technological force that pushes humanity forward. To achieve this goal, they feel that they need a part in reclaiming humanity's first extrasolar colony, and whatever else may exist there. They are collaborating with Sekiguchi to ensure dominance with their biomata technology in this space. They wish to continue the hand-in-hand nature of their past relationship with the UESC and MITA, but it appears that after hundreds of years of work together, these groups may have finally realized who comes out on top when it's all said and done, and they're no longer going to blindly accept cooperation with Traxus. Traxus sees this and is attempting to generate and reinforce conflict between them. They also ominously conclude that there are, quote, less friendlies printing in the weave shops at SecGen. This could be MITA sympathizers, UESC spies, or maybe even someone like Yori Sato, who is outlining the potential Traxus threat should they have access to the inner workings of their tech. They beautifully summarize the complex and hostile nature of the socio-economic position that humanity finds itself in just prior to the chaos that is surely about to unfold within the new game. Now, let's cover that final update to the main Traxus.global page that was uploaded after the conclusion of these chats. This depicts Traxus's outward projection of the plans for their future endeavors. It reads, New Horizons, open letter to investors. At Traxus Offworld Industries and all our divisions, branches, and subsidiaries across Seoul, we value our communities above all else, because building worlds is what we do. And building worlds for families, friends, and neighbors is why we do it. Recent events have forced our leadership to refocus. Our commitments to safety, inclusivity, and the well-being of all sentient beings has never been stronger or more present. Furthermore, we can visualize humanity's potential beyond mere innovation, beyond striving for continued growth and prosperity. Our passion drives newer and stronger partnerships with leaders across scientific, industrial, and theoretical disciplines. New initiatives currently underway are reshaping the care we give. Our advancements in infrastructure allow that care to be increasingly proactive and universal. All of us at Traxus Offworld Industries invite you along the next grand era of our continuing journey, spanning nearly 800 years. Join us as we embark on a new race toward new ambitions and new stars. A new marathon that we will run together. Generations old and new, towards a constellation of new possibilities. Demonkos Sarka, CEO, Traxus Offworld Industries. Like most of their public statements, they say exactly what they are doing while tactically hiding the ramifications of those actions. A new marathon that we will run together is basically a proclamation of war, given the UESC position on trespassers in Tau Ceti. And their defense of the well-being of all sentient beings hides that they are most likely including rampant AIs within that group. Their corporate deception slots in perfectly to the cyberpunk aesthetic that Bungie is building throughout this ARG, and Traxus's inclusion feels like an excellent positioning for a villainous megacorp that has an immeasurable amount of control in this dark, cruel, and alien world. Wow. So, that's Traxus. This has illuminated so many elements within the ARG, and I believe that at this point, we have a pretty clear understanding of the narrative we can expect to play out in the follow-up trailers, announcements, and gameplay. I will save providing an in-depth conclusion here for my final video in this series, where I will generally talk about the lore, narrative, and ARG in totality. I am beyond excited for new information regarding Marathon, and I am hoping that these videos get out in time for a potential May reveal at a Sony event for new information. Thank you once again to my excellent sources that are included in the description below. I am very appreciative of the immense support and interaction I have been receiving on these videos, and I hope to continue making content that intrigues and excites us Marathon fans as we gain more news about the series. If you enjoyed this video and made it all the way to the end, please consider sharing this video with someone who you think may enjoy it. Thanks everyone. Bye.
See you, Starside.